Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and it is time once again for another Review-Palooza. We will be reviewing every title in this stack. This is the watched pile. And for those of you who are new to Review-Palooza, this is where we cover as much ground as possible, talking about what we saw, what we thought about it, recommendations, steering you away from certain things. This is where we really earn the collection, you know what I mean? So before we go any further, I do have a shout out. One of our viewers sent me the Nightmare on Elm Street box set, the Nightmare on Elm Street collection, the old school DVD collection. In one of the videos at one point I mentioned, I think it was the Icons of Horror, maybe the Slashers video, which I will link to here. Heath, remember, please link this here. I think it was that video, but at some point I talked about how I always wanted this and I never had it. This is the one that has the spines of the discs of the DVDs make up Freddy. And I had other releases. I had like the red bordered releases, but this was the box set that also gave us the Nightmare series encyclopedia. Anyway, Rory from Ireland sent this to me because he wanted me to have it. He knew I didn't. He knew that I had the Blu-rays, but he wanted me to have this because I always wanted it. So I thought that was very cool. I've actually carved out a place right up here next to Halloween. I thought that could be a spot where it can just live maybe until the next reorganization. If we ever alphabetize this bad boy, that's where it's going to go. But it's going to go right there, and you guys will see it hopefully in every video. And Rory, thank you so much. Rory from Ireland, so kind. Guys, let's launch right into it. Some of this I have less to say about than others, so some of these will go quick. Some of these we'll spend 45 minutes on one title. No, we will not. But I grabbed the Top Gun 4K. I know a lot of you guys have not yet gone 4K and might not be as interested in this, so I will go quickly through these. I think this movie looks absolutely gorgeous on 4K. It was a great upgrade for me. It's got some really cool special features. It has special features that were held over from, I guess it was the 30th anniversary edition, about, was it 4 years ago? But it's got some really cool stuff on here, and the movie in 4K looks really good. We've talked a little bit about this before. The goal of a good 4K disc, like for a catalog title, should be to replicate what the movie looked like on a theatrical screen. Film, projected, and they get new color gradings. You know, they get new color timing. Someone creates new color timing for these because the TVs now can handle different gradations. And I just think this looks really great. It's a little warmer. It's a little more gold and brown than I think it used to be, but it really does look very good. So I just wanted you guys to know I have it, I saw it, and I really like it. Let's see, Knives Out. We've talked about this several times. This was on my best of 2019 list. It's in my top 5 of 2019. I highly encouraged everyone to get out and see this. People were angry at Rian Johnson. Like, he came into their Christmas break. He came in and just like tore down the Christmas tree. I think that's how some people felt. But this movie, don't punish yourself for, a grudge that you have with the director. Knives Out is really good. It seems to have found an audience with people who both like and don't like Rian Johnson. Everyone seems to really enjoy this movie. I say everyone. Now here they come. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was terrible. I really like Knives Out. It looks great on 4K. This is a movie that in my house, we just keep watching. I saw this twice in the theater, and now that it's on home media, we just keep watching it. So that's a testament to the movie. Jaws, the 4K. You guys, can you guys see that? It's gorgeous. This was a no-brainer for me. Having a 4K setup, this is one of those that I would have. I'll upgrade this every single format that it comes out. I don't think 8K is going to be a consumer format, but if it is, I'll buy this movie on 8K, and I don't even care. It's such a fantastic movie. I've never seen the movie look this good before. It really does look fantastic. And this edition, it's got like this slipcase. It has the disc and the Blu-ray. What I like is that on both the DVD, on the Blu-ray and on the 4K disc, they have the documentary The Shark is Still Working, which is the definitive documentary about Jaws, and it's co-produced and musically scored by my friend Michael McCormack, who sat down with me to do a commentary for the movie Jaws right here on YouTube. So if you have not seen our commentary of the movie Jaws, as I'm recording this video, it's around 4th of July weekend. That'd be a great, hey, what a great way to spend 4th of July weekend. I can never talk about that commentary that we did enough, because one of the people behind the documentary sat down to talk with me about Jaws. I'm so proud of it. And we actually have soundtracks too for Michael McCormick's soundtracks that we need to pass on via some contests and stuff. So just keep your eyes on this space. It also came with this book. I don't even think this is a booklet. I think this is a full-fledged book. Going into the talent, we've got production art, you know, this is a model of Bruce the shark, and just so many good things. This was, oh, look, here's the international posters. I've talked about this on social media with some of you guys, but I have not shown this in a video yet, so I just wanted to kind of shout this out in a video. It's great. Jaws is one of those great, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. The Indianapolis speech. Come on, you guys. It's wonderful. So I think this, no, we have one more 4K after this. I did pick up the Mask of Zorro. Saw this in the theater on opening weekend with my dad, with Papa Midnight. So this is one of those movies that kind of holds a special place for me, because it is kind of about legacy. It's kind of about not necessarily fathers and sons, but about mentors and mentees and Mentos, the fresh maker. No, it's about different generations, and seeing it with my dad is just a special experience. And when I watch this now, I go back to that. Every time I've seen this movie, I think about being in the theater with my dad, and it's kind of a special memory. So this looks absolutely fantastic. A gorgeous 4K restoration for this thing. The last one, this is the last 4K that we're going to talk about, and I think I'm gonna maybe step on some toes with this one. This is Mayhem. It stars one of my favorite people in the world, one of my favorite screen talents, Samara Weaving, however you want to pronounce it. She is in this movie, as is Steven Yeun from, he's notably in The Walking Dead. This movie came out in 2017, I think. 2017, and it's directed by Joe Lynch. Holliston, big horror guy, big horror community guy. We love Joe Lynch. We love the Holliston. He's a horror fan. I don't like this movie. I don't think this is a good movie. This movie has no. I think my problems with this movie they're on a screenplay level. I don't think my problem was with the direction. A director is only as good as his screenplay. And the screenwriter is who is the screenwriter? I'm trying to find it, you guys. Matthias Caruso. And I don't mean to single Matthias out, if I'm saying his name right. He's a younger screenwriter. I don't think he's done a whole lot. But here's the thing. I don't like any of the characters, including Samara Weaving, who is wonderful in Ready or Not. She's very sympathetic in most of her movies. No one's sympathetic here. Everyone is just terrible. So there's no one for me to root for. There's no one for me to latch onto. Even in horror movies, even with horror movies where everyone gets killed, you think of like a Friday the 13th movie or something, there's usually people that are fun, or they're funny, or you're like, oh, I can't wait for that guy to get it. I just don't really care about any of these characters. It feels designed for shock, but I'm not easily shocked. In fact, I go as far as to say, like, that doesn't really affect me. I'm looking for characters that I can get on board with, and they're just not here. And I was really, really, really disappointed with this. Also, this 4K is, some of you guys are just waiting for me you've been waiting for this moment. This 4K is no good. It's basically the exact same as the Blu-ray. There's really no increase in quality. I don't think there's HDR on this. And it's like, why put this out on 4K if it's going to be the same as the 1080p Blu-ray? So really just kind of a very disappointing experience for me. But Samara Weaving, I realize this is before the stuff that I like from her. So this may have been a stepping stone to get her into the things that I do like, and now she is finally being discovered. She's on some cable shows. And here's the thing, I don't want Samara Weaving to be a scream queen forever. I think she's done a really good job with that, but I think she has so much more to offer, and I want to see what else is out there. I'd like to see her in some leading roles, some some more mainstream is not the word that I'm looking for, but some more studio based, some higher recognition, higher profile. That's what I'm going for. Some higher profile projects that resonate in the film community at large. I don't know, guys. I know that so many of you guys probably really enjoy this. This has come every time I bring up Samara Weaving, people say, well, you need to watch Mayhem. Now I just don't really like it. It feels like a video game. It feels like a plot. There's a whole level of movies now that feel they're made by the gamer generation. They're made by people who grew up in the 90s and in the aughts playing Warcraft and playing, you know, different video games. And this feels like a video game. It's like The Raid and Office Space had a baby, but you didn't care about anybody. Like, we care about Peter from Office Space, right? Like, hey, Peter, man, turn to channel so-and-so. We care about those characters because they have obstacles to overcome. But when your main character is irredeemable to begin with, there's nowhere to go but down. Okay, I've said enough about that. Hopefully, maybe future rewatches. You know, I never give up on a movie. I will check it out again in different headspace and see if that makes any difference. You guys, Police Squad came out on Blu-ray, the complete series, which sounds like more than it is. It's actually 6 episodes. So if you like The Naked Gun, and you like Leslie Nielsen and that whole Zucker Brothers kind of comedy, Airplane, you know, same people. If you like that and you're not familiar with Police Squad, you gotta check this out. Some of these episodes look better than others. They have been remastered. You know, they're shot on film, so it's a good high definition transfer. But some of them they're just you know. I don't think they're new transfers. I don't think they're new restorations. They may be several years old. So some of them are kind of dirty, just kind of film element, you know, lots of like these little statics and stuff like that. They do get cleaner as they go. Some of them look really, really good. I'd say about half and half. It's probably about 50% look okay, and some of them look really good. The ones that look okay don't look bad. They just look like, you know, like a drive-in print or something like that, which to me, I'm fine with that. Like film with film artifacts and stuff like that, I'm okay with that. But this show is fantastic. Every episode, if you haven't seen it, every episode they would introduce a special guest celebrity. It'd be like William Shatner, and the celebrity always dies in the opening credits. So you have like William Shatner, and like he's at dinner with this lovely, beautiful woman, and then like someone bursts into this restaurant, and there's like they start shooting up the place, and he ducks and he shoots the guy, and he's like, he's okay, he survived the opening credits, and then he drinks his wine, and he's like, and he's poisoned, and he dies. It's so funny. If you like silly humor, I can't recommend this enough. And it was going for, I think it was like $13 or something like that when it first came out. So comes recommended. If you like Airplane, surely you like Airplane. You do like Airplane, and I won't call you Shirley. Another controversial one, you guys. The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot. This is a very divisive movie. I made the mistake of seeing what other people thought about this on the internet. That was not the right thing to do. This is really split people. I heard this director, written, produced, and directed by Robert D. Krzyzewski. I heard him on a podcast, and I was really impressed with his influences and his take on things. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm going to assume you have not, so just so I can talk to you about it. So it's Sam Elliott from Roadhouse. There's Sam Elliott from Roadhouse. You know, you probably know him better from The Big Lebowski. The dude abides. Thank goodness he does. I kind of admire. Anyway, Sam Elliott as... spoilers, I mean, it's in the title. He killed Hitler and also the Bigfoot. And I think the problem that people have with this movie is they are coming in with expectations for something that it is not. It is not an action movie. It is not really a war movie. It is a character piece that is slow and thoughtful and meditative about what would this person be like. If there was a man who in World War II killed Hitler, and then his actions were covered up to kind of protect and whatever. If Germany had covered the whole thing up and the U.S. government had kind of covered everything up, and then that man had been called upon by his country to find and kill Bigfoot for political reasons, for the safety of the country, who is that man and what is his life like? That's what this movie is about. And I think it's really powerful. I really do. I think there's a lot of what I saw when I looked into the criticisms of this is that there were a lot of very literal reads, whereas like for a movie about killing Hitler and Bigfoot, not a lot happens. Well, not a lot happens action-wise, but character-wise, quite a bit happens. I think, again, I just think expectation has a lot to do with this movie, and it's smart and it's very layered, and I don't want to ruin how you see this if you haven't seen it yet, but you know what, let's do this. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys if I don't want to flavor how you read the movie, so skip ahead, say 1 minute, okay, if you don't want to know anything. Okay, those of you who are still with me, I think this movie is open to multiple interpretations. Like the end of The Wrestler, you know, the Darren Aronofsky movie, The Wrestler. What is real? Okay, at the end of the movie, you know what I'm talking about with The Wrestler, like, does this happen or does this happen? It doesn't matter which of those it is. The end result is kind of the same. The character result, the end result for this character is kind of the same. We're looking at the loneliness, the solitude, and then here's the thing. The plot is, it can easily be read as a metaphor for like fascism, like Hitler, fascism, dictatorship, and also communism, talking about what happened. There's a whole thing, a subplot with Bigfoot about like a global threat, a silent threat. It seems to play in metaphor, and I'm not imagining this. Watch the movie playing as metaphor. Also, is any of this movie even really happening, or is it all just the figment of this character's imagination? It's smart. If a movie can make you keep thinking, that's a success in my view, because a lot of people are just like, I hated that movie. It did not make me think, and I'm angry about it. Like that was a lot of reactions, but I think that there's a lot here, and it's, if nothing else, I assume people are back now. Hey, welcome back. We're not spoiling anything anymore. I assume, with Sam Elliott, he's a fantastic actor. So if for no other reason, watch it for Sam Elliott, because it's a powerhouse performance. He's just a fantastic actor, and I think it's a really good movie, and I think it's been underappreciated, and I think it's time for maybe that to change. And I just want to do my part to show maybe a different perspective on that. Let me hydrate. You can admire my Star Trek pixel art Tumblr. By the way, let me say, if you do enjoy these videos, these long form videos, every month on Patreon, I do a collecting at midnight, which is the reverse of this. It's the stuff that I bought. Whereas I don't really do like, and I bought this and I bought this. That's not what this video is for. This is the review video. But the other video, the I bought video, that goes to Patreon. We did 3 of them here on the main channel, and I decided I wanted to move that to Patreon because I wanted to focus not on the buying, but on the substance. Sometimes it goes a little bit too far into the buying still, but that's where those are. So I want you to, there's like 12 of them, I think. We've done collecting at midnight through 12, episode 12 now. They're all, the last one was an hour and 20 minutes, I think. So if you want more of this stuff, it is on Patreon. Those videos will not be coming to this channel. Those are just for Patreon support. So let's move in to, you know what, while I'm pimping, while I'm promoting stuff, you can buy all our shirts through serialatmidnight.com. All our shirts, they're for sale. You can pick those up if you want those too. And you'll be helping the channel out, helping me to spend less time hustling at the day job, more time making videos like this for you guys. That's the ultimate goal, is to make movies like, not movies, but to make videos like this full-time, be a full-time YouTuber, and not have to chase a day job. We're working towards it every day, and so many of you guys, I think as of this video, we have like 70 patrons. Thank you so much for everyone who has contributed to that. We really do appreciate you. And videos like this would not happen without that support, because I'm able to take time away from running out looking for work and stuff like that. So let's move into some Mill Creek Entertainment releases. I have some stuff that, well, I won't bury the lead. I have the Birth of Ultraman disc, because I'm recording this video. This does not come out for another 9 days when this posts, I think. Anyway, it's over a week away before this even comes out. This is a deep discount exclusive, and I know there's been a lot of questions about this release. When the news first broke a couple of weeks ago, I covered this at serialatmidnight.com. Reminder, if you're not checking out serialatmidnight.com, you're missing a lot of stuff, because we certainly don't put everything here on YouTube. We have interviews and articles and reviews and tons of stuff. It's hundreds and hundreds of items at serialatmidnight.com. I reported on this as soon as it was announced, And a lot of people were like, well, what is this? And can you help me out with this? So I have it on hand now. This was sent to me by Mill Creek to tell you guys about. It is The Birth of Ultraman. It is partly a compilation, and partly it's got a new episode here as well. So let's start with the new content. Actually, first let's start with this Alex Ross art. How about that? This is going to be featured in the upcoming Marvel comic book. There is a partnership between Marvel Comics and Tsuburaya Productions. The comic book launches from Marvel in September. As of this video, that date could change, but that's the plan, September. And this is key art that is going to be used in that series. This is by Alex Ross, the great Alex Ross, Marvel's Kingdom Come comics legend. It's beautiful, right? That right there is collectible. But this is a new package that presents, for the first time ever, as far as I know, it's the Birth of Ultraman pre-release special. So what does that mean? So Ultraman debuted, let me see, there are dates here. The Birth of Ultraman was a pre-premiere special, the live stage show that aired on Japanese television on July 10th, 1966, 1 week before the series premiered. So between Ultra Q, which was the first Ultraman show, and Ultraman, they were... Ultra Q doesn't have an Ultraman. It's a team. It's like a science team. In between these two shows, they launch this. It's a live stage. It's literally a live stage show. It's in black and white. This is presented in standard definition because it is an old 1966 TV broadcast. It's black and white, standard definition, black and white, in Japanese, no English dub. But it is the first appearance of Ultraman. And I've been unable to find a whole lot of information about this. I don't know if this has been on DVDs or Blu-rays in Japan. I don't think it's been offered anywhere in America on DVD or Blu-ray, but I could be wrong. And if anyone has any information to point me towards, I would appreciate it. But I think that this is making its North American debut, this special, the pre-release special. So it's actually really cool. It runs about 26 minutes long. I watched it. This just came and I've already watched it. It shows the Ultra Q logo. And those of you who are familiar with these Ultraman, the older Showa era Ultraman shows, like the Ultra Q logo morphs and it turns into the Ultraman logo. And then they cut to the stage show and it's children in an audience, like a studio audience. And it's like the science patrol guys, and they're talking about like the monsters and the threats, and it's 26 minutes long. About halfway through that, the monsters, not the monsters, not like Lily, not the monsters, but the monsters kind of overrun the set and the stage, and it's getting kind of like, oh, and the kids are like, you know, they're like, what's going to happen? And then Ultraman comes and he saves the day. And that's the debut of Ultraman, as well as some new monsters. And it's really cool listen, it is what it is. You just heard the description of it. If that's something you're interested in, if you're an Ultraman completist or a collector, I think it's very cool. And I do consider myself to be both of those things. I was really excited to have this in the collection. The rest of it, if you have the first Ultraman collection, it's not the first. If you have the Ultraman Blu-ray box set, you have these episodes. However, there's added value even there. It's a single disc set. It does come with the booklets. Liner notes are written by Keith Aiken from Sci-Fi Japan. Great job. He's been such an integral part in bringing Ultraman, the information, writing the liner notes and things like that. So in the booklet, it does give us kind of the history of Ultraman, of the creation of the show, kind of the whole Ultra thing, the whole Tsuburaya path, from Godzilla and Toho to Ultraman. So we have a profile of Ultraman. I'll speed up, guys. I know this is not for everybody. My own hair just went in my mouth. Here's the thing. There are 7 episodes on here, including a 2-parter. I think there's one 2-parter. And these are, I'm going to hold this up. If you want to freeze frame it, you guys can, so you can see what exactly is here. But these episodes are being offered with an optional choice of, you can watch the original Japanese with English subtitles, or you can watch the English dub. When Mill Creek Entertainment put out the Ultraman, I say the first because he's the first Ultraman, but there was Ultra Q. When they put out Ultraman on Blu-ray, those episodes are only Japanese dialogue, Japanese audio with English subtitles. These episodes, you have an English dub option. I know I've heard some things behind the scenes as to why that is. I'm not going to share that. You can do your independent research. I don't necessarily think... I think Mill Creek would have been happy to have included the English dub. I'll say that. And that's speculation. I know nothing. It also comes with a digital copy. So this is the Birth of Ultraman. So I think it's really cool for people who either have not checked out Ultraman yet and can appreciate a nice compilation to, like, hey, here's what Ultraman is. This is why it's special. And also, by the way, here's this thing that's never been seen here. That's also for the collectors. So for the collectors, you get the Alex Ross art, you get the Birth of Ultraman pre-release special, and then you get the English dub for these. So I don't know. I think it's got multiple tiers. It's like, it's deep discount. I'm not going to say price because these things fluctuate. It's at deep discount. You can find all the information you need to know about this at serialatmidnight.com, or just go to deep discount and search for Ultraman. Not to be done with Ultraman, I have also finally finished. This took me a while to finish. I kind of got distracted by some other things, but I'm hot and heavy back into the Ultraman now. I finished the Orb the Origin Saga. Orb continues to be my favorite Ultraman of any of them. Maybe it's a hot take, I guess, but it really is. I love Orb. I love the characters. I love Guy. I love Juggler. The arc that these characters have been on is really cool to me. And I think it's worth mentioning that I think, I could be wrong, longtime Ultraman fans, let me know if I'm wrong, and you will, because that's how people work. I think that this has been so successful that they've just given more than a lot of Ultraman series. They come and then they go, and then sometimes those Ultraman characters appear in future Ultraman installments. Ultraman Orb got the core series, they got the movie, which is common, you get the series and the movie, then they got an Origin miniseries, and then another miniseries that was kind of, I think it was a web miniseries, right? The Ultra Fight Orb, like 3-minute episodes, they got that. And then the creator of Ultraman Orb is like, I see this whole thing as a 10-part saga, and you can actually go see what the 10 parts would be. He's already fleshed this thing out. Like, this is where Juggler goes to this planet, and he has an interaction with this. And I'm like, wait a minute, this hasn't even been made, but he's got it all figured out. So it's very, very cool. Like, this is where he gets the jacket here. And you're like, oh, I want to see this, because it hasn't been filmed. But I love Ultraman Orb. This is a really cool package. It's like $12, you guys. This is on all the sites right now for it's like $11.99 or something like that. It's a 12-episode miniseries for Ultraman Orb, the Origin Saga, and then the mini series that I was talking about, the little it's like the micro series kind of a thing. Those 3-minute episodes, they've been compiled into one continuous running feature that's about a half an hour. And it's cool to see a lot of legacy monsters and legacy Ultraman characters pop up in that. May I spoil it for you and say there's some of the Showa era heroes in the miniseries. It's great stuff. I love it. We're going to continue with Mill Creek and continue with Japanese science fiction / horror too. Ultraman's not horror, but Ultra Q veered into some horror stuff. The H-Man and Battle in Outer Space. I think I've got some screenshots I'm going to show you guys for this. I've taken screenshots for some of these, not all of them. The H-Man, by the way, the special effects supervisor, well, I don't know if he's the supervisor, Eiji Tsuburaya was involved in the special effects on both of these films. These are done for Toho and directed by Ishiro Honda, who was the director of Godzilla, the father of Godzilla, and the special effects guy who would go on to create Ultraman. That's a high pedigree, you guys. The H-Man is kind of a sort of a Japanese take on an Invisible Man kind of a thing. It's very atomic. It's very Cold War. It's I don't want to spoil anything plot wise, but there's a monster. Actually, there's multiple monsters, but you know what? Let me read the back to you guys. The Tokyo sewer system is an oozing mess after a radioactive liquid turns people into slimy blobs that float down the drain following a rainstorm. To add to havoc, the gelatinous masses then begin to reproduce. The blobs are ultimately destroyed. Well, then they're telling you the end of the movie. That's what it is. It's the giant green, it's like green atomic monster blob, guys. And It's really atmospheric, and what I love about Japanese science fiction and horror is the way that they use those miniatures. So you have a lot of the stuff that we love about Godzilla, but the Godzilla's not in this. There are no giant radioactive lizards. There's just green blobby people, and it's kind of gruesome. There are multiple cuts of this movie. There are two cuts, not multiple. There are two cuts of this film. The US cut, which has been censored. It's got scenes removed because we just couldn't handle it in America. You clutch, oh, that man melted. But in the Japanese cut, it's all there, man. And it's really cool, man. Like the people just like, they'll be standing there and then they just like deflate and like their face just kind of sucks in, and it's really impressive. Battle in Outer Space is so much fun. Similar kind of it's Alien Invaders, right? It's the similar approach. It's the miniatures. It's lots of space stations and ships and guys in white suits and helmets and stuff like that. And there's an intergalactic threat. And again, Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya on special effects. And you know what? It kind of reminded me of Thunderbirds. You know, like Thunderbirds are go. We've talked about that before too. Kind of reminded me of that in the sense that there's lots of shots of, like, because they spent all this money on special effects. So there's lots of shots of like ships just kind of like going through the sky, and then little miniatures of you know, like this little car goes by, and then it's very impressive. I had a blast with it. It's so great to have both of these. And also, I should say that one also has two versions. They are the English and the Japanese version. By the way, in case we've covered these before, I just want to make it clear: the English version is, of course, dubbed in English, and the Japanese version has English subtitles. That's true for both of these. And the Battle in Outer Space has a commentary, so it's educational. I'm just really happy to have this. We're living in kind of a golden age for this. I'm constantly talking golden age. Like take a shot every time Heath talks about the golden age, but I really do think we're living in a golden age for this stuff, because some of this stuff hasn't really had this prestige since like the VHS days, which I was there for. And it hasn't been given this push in years, like a decade, 2 decades since we've seen some of the enthusiasm around this stuff. We are really look, they've been restored, you know, they're in high definition, and you can watch this on your Blu-ray player. I should also mention, this is important. A disc. Each feature is on its own disc. Mill Creek has in the past done 2 features on 1 disc. Guess what? We have bumped it up to 2 discs. That is the same for this William Castle double feature. Hollywood Story and New Orleans Uncensored. 1 movie on each disc. Hollywood Story, I adore. I adore Hollywood Story. It's a fantastic... I don't know if it's, you know, I don't think anywhere on here does it say that these are noir, that they're film noir. They're very noir adjacent. You know what I mean? Like, noir is hard to define. There's no definition that's strictly well defined for what noir is, but it's noir-ish. It's a murder mystery. It kind of takes place. Okay, so here's the gist of this. Here's kind of the Richard Conte. He's a movie guy. He buys this studio in Hollywood that used to be a silent film studio. A horrible murder took place at that studio. Everything kind of shut down. The boss was dead. And he starts to kind of like, well, how did this happen? Where did it happen? Who was, you know, he starts to piece together the murder from, I guess it had been like 30 years before at this point in the movie. Henry Hull from the Universal Werewolf movie, Werewolves of London. That's the one, right? You see how I could get confused. I was like, an American Werewolf in London. No, that's not the one. Werewolves of London. I think that's the one that he's in. Anyway, he's in there as well. It's a fantastic movie. It's really good. I don't know anyone who has been like, Hollywood Story. No, man. It so taps into the nostalgia for even, what is it, 1951. There's so much nostalgia in this movie about the Hollywood that doesn't exist anymore. They say Hollywood is constantly trying to erase its past. I think that's true. They're constantly tearing down buildings and paving over this and wallpapering over that. And here's a movie from 1951, nostalgic about the silent era. I think movie fans tap into that. I just think it's really cool. New Orleans Uncensored is It's solid. Again, I don't know if it's noir, but guess what? I have to say, it's on. So this is a trio of. It's the Film Noir Archive, volumes 1, 2, and 3. These were. I want to make sure I get everybody in here. Mill Creek released this, but it's a partnership between, I believe it was Kit Parker Films. It's Sony, Kit Parker Films, I believe, Mill Creek Entertainment. I want to say even MVD was involved in this in some capacity. But I say all that to get to this point. New Orleans Confidential, I'm sorry, New Orleans Uncensored, is one of the movies in Volume 2. So it was noir enough for those companies to say, yeah, let's put it on this noir collection. By the way, these 3 releases, if you want to know more about them, these made our top list of 2019 releases. We have, at the end of every year, we do a best of for that year, and these, all 3 of these were in that video. Let's move on really quick to, we have a little bit more Mill Creek stuff. The Man from the Alamo and They Came to Cordura. Again, 1 movie on each disc, so lots of room to breathe. The Man from the Alamo, directed by Bud Bedecker, who you guys know I love Bud Bedecker. Have you seen our mail video from, as I'm recording this, as this video is going up, it was the video that started this week, and it someone sent me Bud Bedecker's autograph. Okay, like if you haven't seen that, it's a really special thing. So Ferris, if you're seeing this, thank you again for the autograph. It meant so much to me, and I love Bud Bedecker. This is The Man from the Alamo. It's Glenn Ford, Julia Adams. Julia Adams is also in a Hollywood Story as well. Henry Hull pops up in one of the, not Henry Hull. What's the actor's name? Richard Conte. He pops up in They Came to Cordura as well. So this is the capsule. Here's the capsule review. Glenn Ford, they're fighting at the Alamo. Glenn Ford is sent to protect their home. So like, you guys, there's these raiders that are ravaging the homes. We got to go protect our families. So they send Glenn Ford to go do that. And right after he leaves, the Alamo is taken. All the people, they're all killed. And it looks like Glenn Ford is a coward. And that's kind of the premise, is like, how do you live with this albatross wrapped around your neck? It's very good. They Came to Cordura is, what to say about it? John Wayne hated it. John Wayne hated everything, I think. He's best not to go down the path of what John Wayne approved of. But it's one of the things you hear, like, oh, he hated. Because it takes morally gray characters. It makes heroes out of real people who had lots of flaws. Gary Cooper, Rita Hayworth. Gary Cooper is kind of looking for people to award the Medal of Honor. You know, bravery. It's the Pancho Villa era. You know, the 1916 war against Pancho Villa. So he's looking for bravery. He himself is a coward he ran when he was supposed to fight, and he's now living in shame. But he's been tasked with finding other heroes. So. That's kind of what it is. It's about these flawed, broken people who he sees as heroes, and can they live up to that? Can anyone live up to that legacy? Which I think John Wayne missed. I think he may have missed the point. Don't want to call out the Duke. He's not here to defend himself, but I think he missed the point. I will say this is also a little nugget of a little tidbit. This is the movie where Dick York, who would be Darren on Bewitched in the 60s, he had a back injury. There's a scene, I don't even think the scene's in the movie. I was looking for it. I don't even think the scene is in the movie. There's a scene where there are those hand carts that you on a railroad track, like one person goes up, one person goes down. See him in a lot of cartoons. They're operating one of those, and he says in one of his memoirs that they had passed the camera, and someone let it go when it was like at a top or what, like it yanked him up. And it tore his back muscles, and he never recovered, and he had to leave Bewitched because of it. There are episodes of Bewitched where he's lying down for the whole episode because his back was bothering him so much, and it happened on They Came to Cordura. So it's kind of tragic, really. Last Mill Creek release we're going to talk about, this is Enemy Gold. There are two two Andy Sedaris produced movies that just came out. I've watched the one. I have not yet gotten to the second one. The thing is, these two movies were not directed by Andy Sedaris. They were directed by his son, Drew Sedaris. And while also a lot of the cast that had been in previous Andy Sedaris movies, a lot of the Playmates and stuff, they had departed and they're not in here. In fact, I don't think any of them are holdovers. There's some men, some of the actors have been in these before. Julie Strain had been in the previous movie. Anyway, Julie Strain is all over this movie, and she's great. I think people that love these movies love Julie Strain. And she's a reason to watch the movie, but there is something missing, and I think it's the hand of Andy Sedaris. You can just see how much of a spirit of fun he might have been bringing to the production. But nevertheless, we're so grateful that we are getting all 12 movies in the Malibu Bay Films cycle. After this one, there are 3 left. One of them is already on Blu-ray, so there's 2 left. And they've already been announced, and they are arriving soon from Mill Creek Entertainment. But this is clearly ending we're getting further away. These things started in the early to mid 80s, and now here we are in 1993. The next one is 1994. I think 96 might be the next one after that. You can just tell it's kind of coming to a natural conclusion. I'm so grateful, though, that we are able to have all of these on Blu-ray restored. It looks really, really good. And it does have every one of these movies has a moment where someone kills someone in a very ridiculous way and goes, yes! And this does have that. It's like they're homaging themselves at a certain point. So I don't know. I had a good time with it. I just wanted to say, for completionists, for us, for collectors, for enthusiasts, it's great to have this. I'm so thankful. I'm really thankful for it. But it's a shame that Andy Sedaris didn't direct these, because he did bring something to it. God bless Andy Sedaris. He did produce, and he is all over the special features. I should say that. Like all the special features from the DVD era, extras and stuff, they're all still here. So you get like a commentary, and you get the behind the scenes footage. He's in his house with Julie Strain. Okay, we're moving into some other stuff, some other waters now. This was sent to me by Jeff Hammer of the Collecting with Hammer YouTube channel. We did a live stream, it's probably 2 months ago. And Jeff was watching, and he said, have you ever seen the Court Jester? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. Never heard of it. So he sent it to me. So just like our Nightmare on Elm Street collection was sent to us through the generosity and kindness of one of you guys, one of the family, one of the community, this was also sent. And I knew nothing about this movie. It's Danny Kaye, who I don't think I've ever seen in another movie before. It's interesting because Warner Archive just did a Danny Kaye movie, Mother Goose. Does this sound? I don't have it. I haven't seen it. But Danny Kaye, until this movie, was totally off my radar, unfamiliar entirely. It's got Glynis Johns, who was she's the mom in Mary Poppins, but my goodness, she had a very prolific career before that as well. And Angela Lansbury as well. Here's what it is. It's like a full old school Hollywood style musical, full of songs. It's clever, it's witty, it's funny, it's charming. Basil Rathbone is kind of the villain of the thing, kind of the nemesis of the thing, but it's all played kind of like a fairy tale. And this is 1955, I think, 1956. This is from Paramount. This is Paramount. They're manufacturing these on demand, which I'm fine with. If you guys wonder, I've reached a point in my collecting where some of the movies that I want to see are only available manufactured on demand, burned on demand, and I have reached a point now where I've started to pick those up because I'd rather see them than not have access to them. So, but it did occur to me as I was watching this that this is kind of you can see a line. You can see the old Hollywood is almost gone. And the new Hollywood is coming. Because you get to the 60s and the musicals are now like West Side Story, Sound of Music, Mary Poppins with Glynis Johns. But those are different kinds of musicals. They're more, I don't even know how to describe it. This just feels very classic. It feels very fairy tale-ish. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just wanted to shout this out. I wanted to thank Jeff publicly in a video. And you guys check out Collecting with Hammer on YouTube. And and tell him thank you for for sending the movie. Guys, let's talk about some independent releases now. The first thing I want to talk about is Reflections on the Living Dead. This comes from Makeflix. Tempe Digital is in there as well. Basically, J.R. Bookwalter's distribution. J.R. Bookwalter, you know what? Let's do both of these at the same time. We also have Ozone, which is directed by J.R. Bookwalter. J.R. Bookwalter is a low-budget film director, but he's so good at it. It's really amazing. The Dead Next Door, which I believe was financed by Sam Raimi, correct? Robot Ninja, that's another one. He's really good at a certain kind of movie. And I've been watching the special features on Ozone. By the way, full disclosure, Mr. Bookwalter sent these to me. I asked if I could review this for him, and he sent this as well. So I got to sit down with this. This just came in yesterday, and I spent the night with this movie, you guys. Got real cozy with it, real intimate. In the 90s, this is, I believe he made this in 1994, Ozone. It's bonkers. Let me show you the back, some of the the shots of the back. Many of you guys know, many of you guys who grew up during the 90s, who are similar to my age, maybe even a little older, you guys know. You know about J.R. Bookwalter. You know about this kind of movie, these the direct-to-video market, VHS market. Really, really fun. Here's what, it has two different versions. Let me start there. So this is the signature edition, and mine does not have a signature because I have a review copy, which is, I understand completely. But if you were to order this from him, you get the signature. It has reversible artwork. So you get reversible artwork on the sleeve, the slip, the wrap. So that's the other artwork. And then it also, hold on, let me make sure I get this back in here properly. It also has a book, or a booklet. It has a booklet filled with information about the movie, the making of the movie. And this is where this is cool. This is a fantastic release. You have the movie on Blu-ray. It was shot on Super VHS-C, I want to say is the format. Let me see if I can verify. Super VHS-C, yes. So it's a video format, but it retained a lot of information. So this has been restored. He spent a lot of time restoring this for Blu-ray. And in I think it was 2003, they came back and did a lot of, they upgraded the special effects, so explosions look more like explosions and things like that. But also included is the original version with all the original effects and all the original, it's the VHS version, original 1994 VHS version. And it has special features on that disc as well. I love this. The special features on the Blu-ray, I'm watching this last night, and there's so a lot of his movies, Mr. Bookwalter's movies, were shot in the Ohio, Akron, what's the name of it's okay, just say Ohio. Shot in the Ohio area. And they did a lot of publicity in their local publicity. So we have special features of Mr. Bookwalter and his associates on local television. Let me see. News Talk 29 TV appearance, 19 minutes long. The 1993 Channel 23 news segment. Very cool stuff, and I guess it's just been preserved on VHS, and it's included here. So I got to go a blast from the past, watch the movie, and then the publicity, the vintage publicity for what these guys were doing in the 90s. This is available right now. I have to say both of these actually are available right now at makeflix.com. Tempe Digital is the company that put these out, but they have moved over to makeflix.com. So if you see us talking about Makeflix, we're talking about Mr. Bookwalter's his company there, his distribution. This Reflections of the Living Dead is a Reflections on the Living Dead is a 1993 documentary that was celebrating the 25th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead. And so it's part retrospective, it's part appreciation, and they got George Romero. Let me read all the names to you here. It was it's a feature-length documentary on the making of the seminal horror classic Night of the Living Dead, produced in cooperation with the film's producers, Image 10. Gathered together for the first time in 25 years are director George A. Romero, rest in peace, Mr. Romero, co-writer John A. Russo, and producers Russell W. Striner and Carl Hardman. And they have a whole bevy. May I use the word bevy? They have a bevy of like Hollywood director horror royalty. Let's say that. Sam Raimi's here talking about Night of the Living Dead. Toby Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's here. Also rest in peace. John Landis. Do I have to knock on wood for John Landis? An American Werewolf in London, and others. And so it's just really cool. So they've again kind of spruced this up for Blu-ray. And it has the original VHS cut as well on here. The complete uncut roundtable, 101 minutes. The 1993 VHS version, a free soundtrack of the free soundtrack MP3 download, free Vimeo on-demand streaming copy, and trailers. I loved it. I love this so much. So we have not talked a whole lot about Mr. Bookwalter's company, but I have really come to appreciate this. You know, we already celebrate independent film, we celebrate independent horror, and now that these are getting such lavish Blu-ray presentations, we're going to be talking about these as well, because they really are worthy of attention. And for collectors like myself, the horror community, the fan base, not even horror, you know, this is for horror, but just independent film, like people that go out and just like, fine, I'll do it myself, like Thanos, like, fine, I'll do it myself. I celebrate that. I'm so proud of, like, I love that. That's what I connect to, that DIY spirit. That's what we try to share here and to support. So those are cool. I'm gonna put, you know what? Go to makeflix.com and check out those. As I'm recording this video, they're all on sale. Like, all this stuff's on sale right now. So we may be talking about some more Makeflix in the very near future, because there's some more stuff that I want to pick up. Where to go from here? I think, let's see. We're gonna Code Red. Let's talk about Code Red. We're doing independent stuff. Let's talk about Code Red. So, I grabbed this off Hamilton Book. They had some old out-of-print Code Red titles. Some Roger Corman post-up. How are we doing on time? 54 minutes. All right. We're not going to do it in an hour, but it won't be too far over that. Hamilton Book had some out-of-print Code Red titles. Roger Corman's pre-Nuke collection and post-Nuke collection. We're only talking about this one right now. This is directed by Cirio Santiago. Cirio H. Santiago, I believe, is his middle initial. He was the Roger Corman of the Philippines. He has passed. I believe he's passed. He was, I'm interested, so many of you guys know already probably, I'm really interested in filipinosploitation. If you know what, a great documentary to kind of be a gateway. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say filipinosploitation, check out the Machete Maidens Unleashed documentary. It's on Blu-ray from Umbrella Entertainment, and we have a video covering it. I'll try to remember to link to it here, but if you don't, just go to serialatmidnight.com and look up Machete Maidens, and it'll pop right up. But it's a documentary about the Filipino exploitation genre, where people would go to the Philippines, make movies dirt cheap. The conditions in the Philippines were not safe. You know, the Fulci shot some stuff in the Philippines too. And on one of those, maybe Zombie 3, that Fulci had started to shoot and couldn't finish, they have to talk to some of the stunt people, and they're like, yeah, we go in this building, we're shooting a fight scene in this building, and the floor gives away while we're shooting the scene. I love the idea of Filipinosploitation, and I'm slowly working my way through the whole genre, what it has to offer. Anyway, this is Silk. This scene, not in the movie. The lady here, what is her name again? Cease Verrill. She just never in her bra in the movie. Never. That never happens. But it's how, I think it's trying to chase Cobra, the Stallone movie. You know, I don't shop here. That's canon, right? Cobra is canon. The Canon Film Group. I love Cobra. I think this movie is trying to do a female Cobra, and it's supposed to take place in Hawaii, but it's all in the Philippines. They've gone out of their way, like they've like Hawaii Air, but it's all in the Philippines. It's all, and you can tell because there's just like fields and grass, and like it doesn't look like Hawaii. It doesn't. But you know, it's okay. I got to be honest. I don't love it. I didn't think it was great. I paid $10 for it though, and as a Filipino exploitation enthusiast, as a Code Red collector, you know, I kind of missed these when they were, that's the thing, some of these things, they just go out of print and you're like, I missed it. That's the highly collectible nature of some of this stuff, you know what I mean? Like Knives Out, this is always going to be around. Stuff like this, it is not always going to be around, so I try to grab it when I can, but that's where the collecting comes in, you know, because this stuff just, it's just gone. So I'm glad I got my money's worth, and I'll certainly watch it again. I'll probably watch this many times over the years, but my initial reaction, a little bit disappointed. What I was not disappointed with is the Devastator. This is not shot in the Philippines, but it is a it's one of the movies we're going to talk about in the next few minutes that's about Vietnam veterans coming back home and fighting a private war. This is the first of those. This is directed by give me a director. Produced and directed by, it's Cirio Santiago. Oh my goodness. So it's the same director. I don't think this was shot in the Philippines. Maybe this was. You know what? I think I'm actually getting confused because I have another. We're going to talk about the Annihilators in a minute, okay? And it's a very similar movie. Some of these are clearly running together in my head. Too many exploitation movies in too short of a time. This movie, these Vietnam veterans come back from the war, and it's like our main character is he's going to visit like his former commanding officer. His former commanding officer is dead, and then there's like this whole war being fought over these fields of marijuana. You with me? This is a lot of plot. There's like a private war over drugs, and like the gangs, that like the mob is there. So this guy's like, we gotta get the band back together. We gotta get the team together and take down all these drug lords. And that's what the movie is. And I think this is the movie. Okay, it's coming back to me. I remember part of this was shot in California, Northern California. Getting up, or like towards like North Pacific Coast highways. You can still see the ocean and stuff, but you get into big rocks and the big natural. Northern California has a look, especially on the coast. Like headed up towards like Oregon and stuff. Anyway, part of it shot there, and the other part of it was indeed shot in the Philippines. I had completely forgot that. So it's fun. It's decent. I was very happy with it as far as like. Did I get my money's worth? I feel a lot more, I really enjoyed this. I feel more inclined to watch this many times over before I would watch a Silk again. Silk was kind of talky, if I'm being honest. It was just a little, I don't really come to these movies for talking and for a lot of plot. It had a lot of talking. This movie has a lot of action, and it has a lot of explosions. So interesting how the same director can have different results on different projects. That's where like the scripts come into play and everything. Anyway, I do highly recommend this. I actually wrote up if you go to serialatmidnight.com, I've asked you guys before, like sometimes I want to share trailers and just like maybe write a paragraph about the trailer and just kind of show you this movie. I did that for this. So if you go to serialatmidnight.com and you look up The Devastator, there's a trailer there and like just a little paragraph about it, where it came from, just all of that. It's actually, yes, this is very solid. And that's a good segue to Kino Lorber talk, and we'll talk about the Annihilators. So this is another movie. How about the cover? How about the poster art for this? I guess this was like the VHS art, maybe. I don't know if this had a theatrical release. I think it did. Anyway, this comes from Kino, and RLJ. It is the same basic premise. Vietnam folks come back from the war, and they come back from Vietnam, and there's like it's like a gang war, like gangs have overtaken the streets. But here's the thing, this movie is like, so it was directed by Charles E. Cellier Jr. He's the director of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I know you guys, the horror fans, know what I'm talking about. If you're not a horror fan, Silent Night, Deadly Night is it's Christmas horror. It's like a slasher. It's a Christmas time slasher movie, and it's so crazy and wacky and weird in what it tries to do. Okay, so now take that movie, that director, and then he just goes and makes an action movie with Vietnam veterans cleaning up the neighborhood, and it is everything you would expect. So the gang that has inhabited the neighborhood is like the Warriors, like the movie The Warriors. Like everybody's super colorful. You got like the big brawny guy. You've got the guy. There's a dude with a flamethrower. It is a video game. It's like Double Dragon or something like that. Like it is so exaggerated and larger than life. And it's got what is the actor's name? Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was Freddie Boom Boom Washington on Welcome Back, Kotter. Mr. Kotter. That's not Freddie Boom Boom. But anyway, he's in here. It's fantastic. This is what I want to say. I got this during the... I think this was just on sale at Kino Lorber. You know, they have the While Supplies Last sale going on at the same time that they had their Memorial Day / June swoon sale. So I think this was just in the regular sale. But if you're interested, and you should be because it's really good. I mean, it's like, it's an action movie with horror elements. Like, they do things to people. You're like, holy cow, I can't believe they did that. Very cool stuff. If you're interested in this, check out on Kino Lorber Studio Classics website and see if this is going out of print. Because I want everybody to get a shot on that. It's a lot of fun. Serial at Midnight recommended. Also, Serial at Midnight recommended to a certain audience is Pray for the Wildcats. This is a TV movie from 1974. William Shatner. What's the actor that Robert Reed from the dad from Mike from the Brady Bunch? Marjo Gortner, who is the star of the Academy Award-winning documentary Marjo about the preacher who is like a real guy. He's like an evangelist who was in it for the money. There's like, yeah, it's an act for the money. It's crazy stuff. This came right out and admitted it. And they made a documentary about it. He's in this movie, and Andy Griffith is the bad guy. So if some of you guys know, Andy Griffith was really great at playing a piece of crap. If you've seen A Face in the Crowd, whoo, it's a face in the crowd Andy Griffith in this movie. But it's these advertising executives, and Andy Griffith wants them to go on this motorcycle trip to Baja, and so they do, and it gets kind of Lord of the Flies out there, and there's a murder maybe involved. It's really interesting. And what's even more interesting is I got some screenshots I'm going to show you guys. What's even more interesting is they have clearly decided that they want to replicate the shirts of Star Trek, because you got William Shatner. The shirts, you guys, you got red shirts, you got gold shirts. It's like, what do you guys... And they clearly... It's not... I'm telling you, it's not an accident. This is super intentional. It's like, hey, there's a Star Trek shirt. So William Shatner gets his command gold again. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. It's a weird movie. It's a crazy movie. I really enjoyed it. Bree watched this with me. She did not love it. But Bree's reaction was like, yeah, that's fine. That's pretty good. It's like, did you I was like, I really liked it. It's got Angie Dickinson in it, who I love. I was like, look at all these people. She's like, no, it's good. It's good. I was like, but Bree, and then they like the motorcycle scene and Andy Griffith with the thing, and there was an explosion. She's like, no, it was very good. But I don't think she connected to it like I did. This is for genre movie fans who have an affection for these actors. I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm a 60s and 70s TV fan. This was a TV movie. So there's actually several books about TV movies that I need to get my hands on, because the TV movies of a certain era are just magic, man. Okay, we are almost done. I wanted to talk about this. This is not everything that I've watched. This does seem like a lot, but we've watched a whole lot more since the last Review-Palooza as well. Kino Lorber released 2 film noir box sets, with the third... It's Film Noir, The Dark Side of Cinema, Volume 2, 3, and Volume 4 comes out in just a couple of weeks. And I'm probably going to cover all of those at the same time, but I've been watching those. I've been watching the Al Adamson set. I'm halfway through the Al Adamson set, and I don't want to rush it. So we'll just wait and talk about that when I'm done. You could burn out on that stuff real quick if you tackle it too aggressively. So I'm just kind of taking my time, spreading the love around. But I have completely finished this. This is Kino Lorber's Western Classics Volume 1. It looks very good. I love the original artwork too, the classic artwork. This movie is, I think it's my favorite of the bunch. It's 1940. I love 30s movies. I think the 30s is one of the best best decades for movies, because maybe the best decade for me. Everything that's been done since the 30s was probably already done in the 30s. Nothing is new, and they had done so much in those first 20 to 30 years of cinema. But this is so close to the 30s. It has the feeling of the 30s. It's got Randolph Scott, who you guys know I love because I love the Bud Baedeker movies. It's got Brian Donlevy, who horror guys know from the Quatermass Experiment. Anyway, It's the story of the Daltons, and it's kind of based on truth, kind of based on the surviving Daltons account. And it's like the first half of the movie is like kind of like Mayberry, you know, kind of like Magoo, kind of like I'm here to look for so and so. The last half of the movie is real. It is, it takes a turn, man, and it's really good. The Virginian is also very, very good. It's got Joel McCrea, who is wonderful. And it's 1946, but it's getting into that moral ambiguity that would dominate the 50s in Westerns. That sense of it came out of World War II. We can get into this with noir and stuff at some other point, but that feeling, it came out of World War II, where like, who are we? What are we fighting for? What makes us who we are? What's the point, man? That's the attitude, you know. It's like, what's the point? There's a cynicism, a weariness, and it's present in the Virginian. It's really good. Whispering Smith has Alan Ladd and Robert Preston. Shout out to The Last Starfighter. But here's the thing. This is 1948. Is they go on, like, this one's good, but I really like this one. I quite like this one. And this one, I'm like, well, it's solid. But here's the thing. If I'm just because I review stuff here does not necessarily mean I'm recommending it to you. If you're not super well versed in Westerns, I don't know if this is a great place to just jump in. These are 40s studio pictures, and maybe not a great place to start. This is more advanced, further down the line. You know, you see the usual suspects first, then you can work your way back. That's what I recommend. But if you're familiar with a lot of the 60s Westerns and the 50s Westerns, these are just what the doctor ordered. So I had to grab it because I'm a huge Western aficionado. We have two left. The Man Who Died Twice, also from Kino Lorber. I watched this. This is a Republic Pictures noir from 1958. It's got Mike Mazurki in it, who is a great noir actor. Rod Cameron, who was also in a ton of, he's a Monogram cowboy collection guy. A lot of low-budget actors, a lot of low-budget B-movie talent here. This was good. It's not groundbreaking. It's not like, oh, wow, you gotta see. It's not like that. But it's solid, you know? And that's the Kino Lorber Studio Classics line is filled with movies that are like this, where they're just solid. They're just good entertainment. But I do recommend this. It's you know, I was gonna say something. I'm not gonna say it because it's kind of a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say that. But Transfer looks good. I am all for more Republic Pictures. You know, we talk about serials. Republic Pictures was one of the biggest studios for serials at that time. Poverty Row. These movies are made on a shoestring budget. Very, very, very low budget. And they were just cranked out. You know, they were just meant to fill movie houses. Short entertainment. This is 70 minutes long, possibly to pad out a double feature or to play in a rural movie house that did not get A features. You know, they might not get, I don't know, the 10 Commandments or something like that. But they did get stuff like this. You go watch a movie on Saturday night for, you know, 10 cents or whatever. I'm really grateful that we have these things preserved. So the last one that I want to talk about is another, look, it's a Kino, it's before it was Kino Lorber, it's Kino Video. This comes from 2000. In the year 2000. It is a Bud Bedecker directed film noir. I'm going to call this a noir. I think this very soundly fits into the noir genre, the oeuvre of what noir is. It's behind locked doors, and it's got Tor Johnson. You guys see Tor Johnson here. He's that big, huge beast of a man. It's very short. It is 62 minutes long, and it's so early. It's Oscar Bud Bedecker. He's just credited as Oscar Bedecker. This is a Pathé Industries title. Public domain, I believe. All the copies that I've seen of this are in the public domain and don't look good, but this Kino copy does look good. It looks really good, so I was really happy to get this. And the premise is simple. This woman comes to this detective, and she's like, this judge that the police are looking for, he committed this crime. I think he's hiding out at this insane asylum, or this sanitarium, this mental hospital. Anyway, I keep correcting myself. He's hiding out in this mental hospital. what do you say you, private detective, go behind the scenes, undercover in this mental hospital, you find the judge, we split the reward money. So he's like, all right. So that's what happens. He doesn't know when he gets in there that there's like a whole other level of corruption going on in this mental institution, this mental hospital. And Tor Johnson is, he's snapped, and he's like an ex-boxer, and one of the guys messes with him by banging on this fire extinguisher. So he's ding, 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 and it triggers Tor Johnson. He just comes out swinging in his cell. He's in a locked cell. And of course, our hero ends up in that cell with Tor Johnson. It's really good. It's really short, and I'm super glad that I have it. Guys, that is the end of Review-Palooza. We survived. You and me, we did it. Let me know what you guys are watching. Give me some feedback for this one, guys. I love to continue the conversations. These longer videos, they connect with you guys, and I love to hear from you, but they go against everything that YouTube tells me. They tell me that make short videos, make disposable videos, make videos that are about buying things that audiences can get in and get out of. These are not that. These are meant to be in-depth reviews. These are meant to be like to help you form, you know, recommendations for actors that I like and directors that I like, and hopefully to help spur some of that interest in you guys as well. We're always trying to promote classic film, just film in general, independent horror. There's a lot of stuff here. We cover a lot of ground, but it's all from a place of passion, right? And I want to know what your passion is. I want to know what you're watching, what's lighting your fire. So please let me know. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. So until next time, guys, take care, and I will catch you later.